Hey guys, hope you're having a great day as well as a great life. Back with JJ.
You're going to have a better day now after this.
Okay, yeah, you've been hyping this song up for a hot minute.
Yeah. It's Unbroken Chain by the Grateful Dead, which I think is one of the very few times they captured the essence of the band in a recording studio.
Interesting, because this is one of the bands that I've had several people, like, probably more than anybody else when Andy or I have been out somewhere and have, like, recognized us and talked to us and been like, oh, you need to get into the Grateful Dead. And we've hit a couple of their songs. But I feel like I haven't caught the magic the same way that, like...
Because the studio just never really caught it.
Okay.
That's not... They weren't a studio band. But this is... I think this is one of the few times they were able to sort of combine studio magic with their magic of what they did so well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I have several texts from you being like, please listen to this with Andy with whatever substances help elicit a better feeling.
But we're doing this substance free.
We are.
Because he's got to drive, and he's
True.
He's a responsible individual.
Unfortunately.
Don't drive high, kids.
Yeah. But you can Uber high. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
you can
perfectly
Uber.
legal.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Let's hit it.
Unbroken chain, looking for familiar faces in an empty window pane, listening for the secret, searching for the sound, but I could only hear the preacher and the baying of his hounds. Willow sky, whoa, I walk and wonder why. They say love your brother, but you will catch it when you try. Roll you down the line, boy, drop you for a loss. Ride you out on a cold railroad and nail you to a cross. November and more as I wait for the score. They're telling me forgiveness is the key to every door. A slow winter day and that lag forever seemed like a storm, flowed like a feather. Woo!
So impressive how they came out of that.
Lilac rain on broken chain, song of the saw-whet owl. Out on the mountain, it'll drive you insane, listening to the winds howl. Unbroken chain,
Oh, man.
sorrowing girls, unbroken chain of sky and sea. Unbroken chain of the western wind, unbroken chain of you and me. Love, love, and love.
That's cool. Dang, I love that.
Cool.
What a good. Gosh, I'm trying to think of like what all the aspects of that I loved are. I mean, one, I don't know if I've ever heard a guitar solo where it felt like the guitar solo was the only thing holding it rhythmically together. Like at that part, the keys are going nuts, the drums are going ham, and it's.
I think that section's in 11. I think it's either in 11/8 or it's like a bar of 7 and a bar of 4. It's the
a
fact
weird
that's
one,
in
yeah.
11. It's crazy. I think it's 11. I'd have to go back and count it again, but yeah, and then it breaks into straight time out of that. But the other thing about that is that to me showcases one of the things that Jerry Garcia was so great at was tension and release.
Yeah.
You know, he would really kind of build up. There's that moment he's sort of like building up the tension and the dynamic and everything. And then it goes out of like that tension chord to a resolution chord and it just sort of opens up. And that was, the band was just so masterful at that. And the studio usually just squashed that.
Yeah,
And I
that
think-
was.
By the way,
immaculate.
the dog was really she was doing her little hippie hand dance back there and moved the camera, I think. I think the camera shifted on us
Well,
at some
that'll
point.
happen.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, but just fantastic.
That's Phil Lesh, the bass player, singing, and he didn't write very many songs for the Dead, but the one two of Deadhead's favorite songs are that and Box of Rain, which are Phil songs, and this one was written. I can't remember the name of the lyricist, but the guy I guess was he was like some drifter who used to hop freight trains all over the country, and it's kind of this song's about sort of his experience doing that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just stellar. Like I just loved almost every part of that, and I would not have guessed it was in that weird time signature, at least in that bridge section, and I love that. Like I love weird time signatures where they're done so well that you really can't tell if you're not paying attention to it. Just feels like a song. You're just like lost in it, get to feel the atmosphere. That tension and release that you mentioned is all throughout it. Like I love how it like fell in sections. Like it almost was like steps getting back down to bass.
And then the way the synth sort of comes in with with just texture and I don't know, soundscaping, I guess they call it, but it just sort of comes in at the perfect moments, and it's not even it's not even a musical part. It's just a sonic part.
Yeah.
I think it's like an ARP 2600, which is this one synth, where he's just playing with the filters and doing weird, crazy noises that just sort of come in and drift over and accentuate.
It just feels great. And then also having the, as it's rolling out towards the end and you hear these like big harmonies coming through that again just feel lush over the track, and it only happens a few times, and I just kept wanting more of it, which is I love that feeling when you're just like, oh, one more time. And they just kind of
they could only keep the singing in tune for so long. That's
perfect. That's a great thing that stops it. Yeah, just loved every bit of that.
Cool. I'm glad you got that.
And so you think it was like, why do you think they weren't able to capture as much in the studio? It was just their engineering team?
Well, there's so many things. What they did was all about being in the moment and spontaneity, and this is during a period that when they only had one drummer, and there was a lot of influence by a lot of the fusion stuff that was going on at the time, and they were
really very jazzy.
Yeah, and they had two big influences at the time, like it seemed like jazz and country.
Okay.
And a lot of the stuff took these amazing just diversions all over the place, and certain songs had jams that were really written out that would go in different places, and having only one drummer at the time, they could be a lot more nimble and do those things. And it's from night, if you listen to recordings from night to night, sometimes they'd pull it off, and sometimes it was magic or tragic. But this song they never did live, as far as I know. I mean, at least not. I don't know if they ever tried it at some point in the 90s or whatnot, but it was. It's like too much going on. And the changes are really deep and rich, and Phil was just not a great singer after a certain point. He really lost his ability to sing well. So
man, that sucks, because I loved it. It felt so impassioned and just like also laid back to a certain degree, and just like a beautiful capture of energy that let the rest of the song like breathe around it.
Yeah, I think he's. In some ways, he was sort of the best singer of the band, because there was just something about his style of singing that, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying the other guys didn't sing well, but there's just some
magic for him, for you.
There's
really connected. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, just phenomenal. Really, really enjoyed it.
Cool. I'm glad you dug it.
Rating. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
S.
A+.
It's an S for me. I mean, it's
so fair.
It's like
fair.
we said. It's for me.
Fair.
It's a personal highlight.
Yeah.
So I can't give it anything less than S.
Okay.
It's one of those. If I'm ever listening like to Grateful Dead channel or something that comes on, it just everything stops. The world stops.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay.
No phone calls get answered. No texts get answered.
I mean, it was like almost like a spiritual experience. Like I loved this is such a good arc of a song. It's like it feels the same way that like a good conversation feels sometimes. Like the best conversations, like they have an arc. You talk, and then it's just naturally easy, and it flows to a point, and then you just let it wind down. Okay, well, I'm gonna go now. Okay, and it just feels perfect.
And they navigated all that stuff. It's like Rush on acid. It's like the way they were able to navigate in and out of various time signatures and moments, and just pivot without you realizing there was a huge pivot here.
It almost feels also like I said the conversation thing, but it's more because it's less than a conversation. It's more than a conversation. It's almost like you're trying to bring up like both politics and religion at your girlfriend's Thanksgiving, and somehow just navigated it perfectly where everybody goes, oh, we had very interesting dialogue, and left with that, like a monumental task that was just done precariously and precisely, but it doesn't even feel like it.
Well, and specifically to that point, this was a band that was all about musical dialogue. Yeah. So that for them was the point of like, they've been carrying on this musical conversation for decades, and so the fact that that's the way you relate to it as a conversation is really interesting.
Cool. Well, let us know what to hit next, but that was fantastic. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next video. See ya.
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you had a good time watching that video, go and upvote the video, subscribe if you're not already. Check out some other videos here on the YouTube or on the Patreon if you want extra juicy stuff you can't get on YouTube.